All right, it's time for the Week 14 Best Bets. Had a rough go of it last week, lost 3 of our 4 games, so now we sit just 1 game above 500 on the season, so good time for a good week. 3 games I'm involved in this week. I'd like to go through them all now quickly. Starting with the Miami Dolphins traveling to Pittsburgh to face the Steelers. Pittsburgh is a 3-point favorite on BETDAQ, and I do like Pittsburgh to cover that number. Now, this is a big game in the AFC playoff race. The Dolphins currently at 6-6. They're tied with Baltimore for the 6th and final playoff spot in the AFC. The Steelers 5-7, just a game behind both those teams. Really, since the first month of the season, the Steelers have been a good team. They lost their first 4 games, but 5-3 since then, and right now they're better than average on both offense and defense, and you can't say the same for the Miami Dolphins. Now, the Dolphins have been playing well on defense, but their offense is just not very good. 26th in yards per game, 24th in points per game. They've allowed more sacks than any team in the NFL, and the Steelers have been good on defense this season. Now, I know a lot of people don't think that's the case. Those people who saw them play New England or who might have been watching the first half of their game against Detroit, but really, you remove those 2 games from the equation, and the Steelers have been playing at a top 10 level on the defensive side of the ball. They currently rank top half of the league in total defense, passing defense, points allowed. So I think they're going to have a lot of success shutting down this Miami offense, especially because the weather is supposed to be freezing with a potential of snow. And Miami does not run the ball very well. That offense is centered around the passing of Ryan Tannehill. Don't think Tannehill is going to have much success on the road in freezing snow against the Steelers' defense. And Pittsburgh's offense has quietly played very well over the last month. They found a formula that works now. Rookie running back Le'Veon Bell is heavily involved. Antonio Brown has stepped up and become Ben Roethlisberger's go-to guy. Steelers currently top half the league in total offense, top 10 in pass yards per game. I think they're a better team than Miami right now. I think they're going to win and cover the 3. Next game I'd like to talk about, the Seattle Seahawks traveling to San Francisco to face the 49ers. San Francisco a 2.5-point favorite on BETDAQ. Might surprise some people that Seattle, the best team in the NFL, coming off maybe the most impressive performance we've seen from any NFL team this season when they beat the New Orleans Saints 34-7 last week. Might surprise some people that that team is an underdog in this game. Now, I'm going to bet against that team. I think the Niners a good-looking bet here as a short home favorite. Now, Seattle has been the best team in the league this year, as we said, and they've beaten San Francisco twice in a row. They've won those games by 55 combined points. But both those games were in Seattle. We know the Seahawks may be the best home team in all of football. They're a little bit different on the road. Now, they're still good on the road, obviously. They've only lost once this year, so they're good everywhere. But they average 8 fewer points per game on the road. They allow 4 more points per game on the road. It's been 5 years since they won in San Francisco. Keep in mind also, Seattle a little bit short-handed in the secondary right now. Going to be without cornerbacks Brandon Browner and Walter Thurmond. And the 49ers getting healthier on offense. Michael Crabtree back in the fold. Colin Kaepernick, not coincidentally, has now passed for over 200 yards in 2 consecutive games for the first time all season. So I think the Niners are improving offensively. Seattle might be getting slightly worse defensively, even though it's hard to even say that with a straight face after watching them against New Orleans last week. But I think this is a good spot for a San Francisco play. I am on the Niners as a 2.5-point favorite over Seattle. Final game I'm involved in this week, the Sunday night game, might be the best game of the week. The Carolina Panthers going on the road to face their division rival New Orleans Saints. Saints a 3-point favorite on BETDAQ. Just talked about the Saints game last week when they were beaten 34-7 on the road in Seattle. This is not on the road in Seattle. That game was played outdoors in freezing rain. This game is in the friendly confines of the Superdome, where the Saints have covered in 23 of their last 28 games, despite being favored in 26 of those games. That is just astounding. Now, the last time they lost in the Superdome, it was the Carolina Panthers that beat them in Week 17 of last season. But this is a different Saints team, especially on the defensive side of the ball. The Saints top 10 in the league in both yards allowed and points allowed this season. Now, they did have trouble against Seattle last week, but the Seahawks are second in the NFL in points scored. They have an excellent offense. Carolina, not so much. They have a one-dimensional offense. They don't pass the ball very well. Cam Newton averaging right on 200 pass yards per game. Just don't think that's going to cut it. Don't think they're going to be able to outscore the Saints here. You know, Carolina does have the best defense in the league, and I think they're going to slow down the New Orleans offense somewhat. By slow down, I mean limit to maybe 24 to 27 points. And I'm just not sure the Panthers are going to be able to produce those kind of points against this Saints defense. So I think the Saints a good bet as a 3-point favorite on Sunday Night Football. There you have it. Those are my 3 games. Again, I like Pittsburgh -3 at home against the Miami Dolphins. Also on San Francisco -2.5 at home against the Seattle Seahawks. And the New Orleans Saints on Sunday Night Football. They're a 3-point home favorite over the Carolina Panthers. Hey, I wish you best of luck this week in whatever you decide to do, just so long as your interests don't conflict with my interests.